This is the Scary Movie Clubcast.
Live from the clubhouse, this is the Scary Movie Clubcast. This is Amanda.
This is Nadine.
And it's Kate.
And we just finished the 6th episode. Two Storms is what it's called. So Nadine is going to hit us with the fun facts for this.
So the first fun fact, and we talked about this while we were watching it a little, is that the first, 15 and a half minutes of the episode, take out the opening credits and then that first bit, is all one straight take.
It was so cool.
It's so wild.
It takes, a mad amount of skill to be able to do that for, on behalf of the actors, and then also, all the crew and camera and lights to be able to,
Yeah, and because, they have, the adult cast and then also the kid cast they have to worry about.
Making sure that people are in the shot when they're supposed to be, but out of the shot when they're supposed to be, that would take a lot of coordination.
Yeah, there were no edits, no
Amazing.
cuts.
So talented.
It's pretty crazy.
I feel like it'd be really crazy, to do, but I think it would be, super fun as, a cast to, be able to accomplish something like that.
Go.
Yeah.
And
especially,
you guys switch places.
especially for the kids, it would be hard to, contain that kind of excitement, I feel like.
Yeah.
So during the filming of the first season, they stopped production for a month so that way they could prepare for these continuous long takes.
Yeah.
So they would have stand-ins come in and walk through the entire script repeatedly. That way the crew could learn their choreography and make sure that they had their blocking and lighting and everything down.
Yeah.
So the statues keep changing positions during the continuous shots.
So, it's not only the actors, but also the crew is, going around and moving them, or I don't know if the statues are people, painted up or whatever.
I think I've seen, footage of it and, random thing I watched, but it's, they physically moves the statues,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This person put in here, and I just thought it was interesting, too, how, Nell's, worst fear was, her family, not hearing her and her, And so this episode is definitely an homage to that, where she's, there, but no one can see her and hear her, and so...
And I think that also, speaks a lot to, her, kind of, losing it. I mean, the whole time the family's, Steve's, blaming the dad, how did you not see this, all these letters she's sending, but, just neglects all the time she reached out to all the other family members, where she's, she tries to talk to Luke about it, and he's too busy concerned about his drugs. She tried to call, all of them at some point, and, they don't have time for her, and, she does all these things that are, clearly a cry for help, but no one hears her.
The part when they're at Hill House and the storm is happening, and then Nell kind of, wanders through the statues and stuff, and then sees the bent neck lady, that's supposed to, mirror when she goes back as a grown-up, and she's, dancing with Arthur, and kind of, spinning, and so, as she was walking.
Yeah, I noticed that, yeah.
The tone of this episode is also just feels a lot different than the others. I don't know. I felt to me it's very somber.
It's a heavy
others
one.
Are, really happy, but I feel they at least had I don't know, moments. But
Mm-hmm.
I think just the filming of it and the thunderstorm continuously going through it just added to that, where it just felt very heavy.
Yeah, the rain scene throughout the episode was not CGI. It was
all practical effects. Gosh,
Yeah.
I love practical effects so much.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah, and because of that, the set flooded several times throughout the episode's 1 month rehearsal.
Yeah.
That whole episode is a nightmare, I'm sure.
I know. Okay, and I saved the best fun fact for last, which is that Kate Siegel, the one who's married to him and plays Theo, found out she was pregnant during the filming of this episode.
Oh, that's cute. While she's down in all that fake alcohol.
Yeah. Can't even sit properly.
I know. Man, yeah, this episode gets me every time. I definitely, throughout a lot of the show, especially towards the end of the season, I, cried a lot. Just because, it's very sad, and, it's just,
so invested.
Yeah, you get so attached to the characters, because they're all, I feel they're really well developed, and they're so well acted, you're,
yeah.
they feel, so real, and then, the grief, they all show, and, grief really hits me so hard in movies. One of the end scenes, little child Nell has disappeared, and then she reappears, and she's no one heard me, and then Luke's promise me you'll never do that again, promise me you'll never disappear, and then this happens, and that just hurt me so deep. Getting a little misty-eyed just thinking about it.
It's definitely a super sad part.
Yeah.
Also, just like cut so much twins just have like pretty deep connection because of all the things they go through together.
And when he turns back and looks back at the caskets, like half of it is missing and it's like
Yeah.
left behind. It's very sad.
It is. You're like, this is not going to be good for his recovery either.
No.
He's holding so strong. His family's so rude to be drinking in front of him this whole time.
And like downing it, no shame. Like,
Right next to him, like
Yeah.
literally sitting beside him. Very inconsiderate to a poor
Yeah.
little guy who literally just got out of rehab like the day before.
it's very selfish. Like, well, this is what I have to do to get over my grief, and you just do what you have to do.
I know. And he finally made it to 90 days. He's never had that much time before.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It was crazy this episode seeing the ghost that the mother sees because we had heard her describe like the people sitting by the fire and the little boy not being able to, in the wheelchair, not being able to reach the top shelves and stuff. So it was interesting, like seeing the little boy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, so her vision
and
of the
a sick
future
woman in the bed.
isn't even like a vision of the future, it's a vision of the past.
Yeah, was she wandering the hallways? He was chasing after her.
Yeah, that was another thing I thought when I was watching the movie because it's like it's very reminiscent of like The Shining and just like so nerd alert right here. I built Hill House in Sims 4.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was very difficult because the outside of the house is an actual place and you could like have like wedding receptions and stuff there if you wanted.
Oh wow.
But it doesn't match the interior shots in the show at all because like there's just they did the exterior shots there, I guess, and then the interior is like all sets.
Yeah, they do that in The Sound of Music too.
Yeah, so
Comparing
like
this to The Sound of Music,
Same,
it's
same.
Yeah.
Julie Andrews playing the mother.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Christopher Plummer could have done this character though, so it fits.
but yeah, like it's like the house is almost like intentionally confusing because you see the part where he's trying to like catch up with Olivia but can't because she's like almost like she is a ghost already because she's like
Yeah.
basically teleporting. He like follows her down this one hall and it's where the library is. So he's circling around the library, which is 3 stories tall, and on the 3rd story is the red room. And so he goes around on the 2nd story and he comes around to where the back of the library would be, and it's just a hallway. And at the end of the hall, there's just a window. Whereas if you went upstairs, there's the red door. And it doesn't make sense to have a door that goes into a room there. Because there's a window down below it, so there wouldn't be anything there on the outside of the house.
Right.
And I also wonder if this might be a nod to The Shining, because, like, as he's coming back from that hallway, because he, like, sees Olivia down the other end of the hallway, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
There's a big wheel tricycle right there
Oh, okay.
at that little opening to the library.
Yeah. I've never seen The Shining, but
Oh,
I
it's
feel
so
I've
good.
seen
It's
some,
very
like,
good.
parodies of it.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Adaptations of it that I feel like I've seen it.
You should see it. It's so good.
should.
Definitely worth the watch.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's, like, a thing, because it is, like, where the red room is, it doesn't make sense as part of the house, because it would be, like, a room floating on the 3rd floor,
Right.
like, with nothing below it.
What's inside the red room, though?
The buttons on Nell's eyes were so sad.
Yeah,
I
so I was
know.
like, is that like when they were counting buttons? Like,
I
they were
think-
counting 1, 2, so 2
Nell
or say?
collected them as a child. She would
Yeah, and I
collect
wonder,
buttons.
I mean, maybe it was Nell who did it, but I also wonder if it could have been the mom who put the buttons on the
Yeah.
eyes. Because, like, she knew Nell collected that because she found the box. And I was like, look what I found, buttons.
Well, and I just didn't know if it was like how they were talking about 2 out of the 7 of them were gone, and how they used to count the buttons, out
Yeah.
loud and touch them all.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
from like the mom or Nell's perspective, it's like, well, we've got 1, 2, so where are the other 5? Like the other 5 because they're trying to like come home or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if it was like a callback to that too.
I mean, there's also, like, the symbolism of, like, the having the coins to give to Hades at the river Styx to make it to the underworld.
Why they put coins on dead people's eyes?
Yes.
So then it's kind of like the child's version of that, I guess.
I also, all the like spinning shots in this one I didn't personally enjoy.
Yeah, I know. It like
Yeah, it's not good for
gets the emotion,
sensitive people.
Yeah, I feel like it builds the suspense, but it definitely gets very dizzying. And also, I don't buy the whole her husband and Theo like hooking. That just doesn't make sense. So I hope that was a misunderstanding, because that just, it doesn't, I just don't see that. But we'll see. I can be okay with one part. Okay with one part of the storyline, I guess, but I just don't feel like that's true to, like, his character. I mean, her maybe, because she's a little, like, selfish and spontaneous, just like, whatever I want to do, I'm going to do. But for him, I just don't see that. And he wasn't drunk like she was. So.
Yeah, she was wasted.
Yeah.
Theo just drives me crazy. She drove me crazy when she was like asking the husband, "Do I have to move out?"
Oh, yeah.
First off, it's not his call. I don't know why you're
it should
asking
be,
him.
Second of all, yes.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even have to ask. She told you, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Just
The
move
worst.
out.
Just expecting no consequences to your actions. You chose to lie to your
Oh.
sister. That was your choice, and now here's your consequence.
Yeah, she doesn't have to let you live there. Like.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. This is maybe, like, off topic, but, like, so my aunt's first husband was murdered by Gary Gilmore. He's like a serial killer in Utah. And so then Norman Mailer wrote like a novel. He like interviewed Gary Gilmore and like wrote a novel about it. And my grandma has like a copy of the book on her bookshelf. And I always thought that was so weird. Because I'm like, because it basically, I was like super dumb. I was like 21 and I was really curious. And so I opened up the chapter and read the section about like this murderer, like murdering my uncle who I never met.
Yeah, whoa.
And yeah, and so I mean it talks about like my aunt and my cousins and like they're like being there, and I'm like, I can't believe that like my grandma has a copy of this book detailing the murder of her son-in-law, but then it's also like, well, we're in a book and that's kind of cool, and I don't know, it's just,
I know, it's like
yeah,
it's just like this weird thing, and you're like, oh, I don't know how to react to this.
Yeah, but it just made me afraid of Sinclair gas stations because that's where he was killed. And I'm like, I never want to go into Sinclair. But
Fair
anyway,
enough.
that doesn't really have anything to do with.
No, it was interesting though.
So you
I
can
like
also
it.
edit that out.
I don't think we will be.
I know, it's definitely interesting, and it does sort of relate, because, I mean, it's, like, still a trauma that was put to the book, just like their family trauma was put
But
in Hill
then
House.
somebody
Yeah.
is like capitalizing off of the story of like his murder.
Yeah.
Which also, I will say that I think that it just depends on the people. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with what Steve did on principle. Like, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with the idea of him using personal experiences
But
and
without
writing
their
it in the book.
consent
But yes,
and-
without their
yeah.
consent, I think it's a douche move. Like, and so if everyone's fine with it and everyone doesn't mind putting it out into the world, then I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But without their consent and to bribe them, I think is not great.
Alrighty. So we're very excited for this next episode. I'm excited for every episode. I love the show to death.
Yeah, I can't remember what happens in the next episode at
I
all.
don't know. Might cry more. We'll see. Got to drink more water to prepare.
Don't dehydrate. Yeah.
Have
It's
your
a real-
second,
All the tears.
It's a real issue that I have.
have your second sip of the day.
So you can feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Movie Clubcast. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you for the next episode. Yeah, bye.
Sorry. Just saw a bent neck lady over there.
Bet neck cat.
Bent neck cat, yep. No.
Can't help but be awkward. I don't have to tell you, Nadine.